Welcome back to the Link Hotel in Las Vegas. We're here at the Arival event. Our next interview is from Canada.
It's from Canada.
Jason from Checkfront. Do a quick intro.
Yeah, my name is Jason Morehouse. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Checkfront.
And Checkfront does?
So we're an online booking system, reservation system primarily for tours and activities.
And how long have you guys been around?
We started in 2010.
Okay, so a little earlier on the curve from the ResTech side, right?
Yeah, it was a 2 to 3 man operation for about 3 years. So 2013 is really when we started to pick up speed, momentum, and traction, customers, and kind of went gangbusters from there.
Seems like that year was the year. You know, a lot of that started happening.
I think the timing was right. I mean, there's a lot less education from suppliers and merchants. Earlier on, it was a lot of kind of, here's why you need a booking system, and a lot of kind of education and advocacy, whereas now it kind of picked up and people understand.
Does it help when one supplier sees their either competitor or friend who has inventory in a different way? It's kind of like, oh, I want that, or hey, Bob, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay. How did you get, or in 2013, as that inflection point started happening, how did you manage the growth? You know, I know you said you just raised some money a while back, but how did that happen? Because I think a lot of times that's helpful for other startups to understand.
I mean, really investing in people was a big one. So the team went from 3 to 6 to 12 to 20 to 50 to 60 now. So as we brought in smarter people than us to build the product, to support the product, to kind of grow out the whole ecosystem around it, that's really when we started to see the growth. I'm told that our whole office is watching us back at
the whole office is there. We gotta say it's like, hi, mom. You know, it's the same kind of thing.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Yeah.
So we're 2017, 7 years in, right?
Yeah.
Next about 12 months, let's kind of keep it tight in. You know, what are you guys hoping to accomplish in that time frame?
Yeah, so we're, I mean, for us, it's just a bigger kind of go-to-market strategy. So it was 4 or 5 years of solid product focus, working with that early group of customers to build what they need and kind of refine it over time, that iterative approach to building out the product, which has been great. But now it's really just about scaling out, more of the sales and the marketing have come online in the last year and a half, and participating in things like this, really getting the brand out there.
And is it nice to have a conference for In-Destination? I've been asking everybody about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do a fair amount of shows and trade shows, but the tour activity component is usually on the fringe, right? So this is awesome to be here with our customers, our partners, OTAs, even our competitors. It's really good.
It's amazing. It's bigger than car rentals. I mean, the industry is massive, but there's also the idea that it itself is so fragmented. There's different verticals within tourism activities, and so it becomes very complicated to kind of unpack. Right?
It's crazy.
So why did you want to do this in such a crazy? Is that the opportunity you saw, or? Yeah,
I think we went in a little naive.
As you should. Good companies sometimes are built that way, right? Most of the time.
But we saw from our own experience a big hole in the market as a consumer. So both me and my co-founder have kids. We're booking activities, ski chalets, things to do with the family, and literally like faxing and mailing checks and stuff like that. So I come from an e-commerce background, strict e-commerce. My co-founder has a tour and activity kind of background. So we're like, somebody's got to build this. So we set out to do it, and it's been quite a ride. So we've got about 4,000 suppliers and customers now, 120 countries. So it's been amazing.
And it's going to keep accelerating. It seems like you're kind of going up the curve a little bit. Yeah.
That's the plan. Just keep going at it. Yeah.
Let's talk about merchandising. I talked to a few people, but I'm really interested in the opportunities because you said your e-commerce background. But if you're a tour operator and you have 100 tours, that's a lot of packaging on the shelf that you can play with images and copy and all the type of booking flows. So how do you guys approach merchandising when people are loading inventory into your system and you're kind of helping make that happen for them?
So far as like packaging and merchandise?
Yeah, and just like how they, making sure that what they're selling is presented well and it leads to ultimately to the conversion.
Yeah, and it's a tricky one. There's a lot of challenges in getting them to do it the right way. Early on, it was a lot of kind of, again, education, best practices. Here's how to present it. Here's the reasons why you want to upsell and cross-sell. So we do work with our suppliers directly. In many cases, our support or customer success team will kind of work with them to make sure they're monetizing the full set of their inventory. recently we released a new product, a consumer layer on the top, which is a product called Site Builder. It's effectively a CMS, a website, but we built in all the best practices around where you put your call to action. The entire booking flow is fully baked in. All of your inventory comes up online, which is our way of trying to help, because it was really frustrating before. They'd come to us with questions like that, and because we were really focused on the back end problem, all the administration, we could just give advice. Whereas this new option allows us to kind of build all that into a technology offering and have them just light up and be ready to go.
And so you probably get a lot of data about how to make that happen, improve for these sites, right? So you're helping with that.
Yeah.
What about on the dashboard side of things as they start to look to pricing, and how do you process that approach with them to help them be most informed about their pricing of their own tours?
Again, it's a difficult one to work with them directly on their pricing. We do provide things like yield management opportunities within the product. We will work, again, the customer success team and support teams will kind of field those questions. We don't necessarily get involved on the operational side of kind of informing them about those practices. But we certainly work with them as much as we can to make sure they're optimizing what they have.
How have the relationships changed? It's like I said, how a lot. How have the relationships changed over these years with your suppliers? You know, do you find them to be more informed and demanding of new features, or is it kind of still kind of pulling through, or so it's changing where they get it now a little bit more, or have they always been demanding maybe?
No, they're great. I mean, they have, and again, that's how we built the product out, is really those feature requests. So we'll get 1,000 feature requests literally in a month from our...
1,000, wow.
Like, so our product team is constantly just fielding this huge bucket of feature requests. And like we met customers here, took them out for dinner. It's usually a great dinner. And then they pull out their list.
It's dessert. It's a different type of dessert.
Yeah, and then we're like, all right, let's go.
How do you prioritize that then? I mean, that on its own is a very interesting topic.
It's very difficult because there's so many of those sub-vertical kind of nuances where one kayak operator might run his business completely differently than the kayak operator beside him or the rafting operator. It is a bit of a democratic process where if there's enough customers that are requesting a certain feature or integration, then we will prioritize that. But we also try to stick close to what our vision of the product is and make sure that we're kind of marching down that path.
And how do you nicely navigate the no, we can't do that conversation, or is that?
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one
for all vendors.
It's a tough one. I mean, you want to keep everybody happy. You don't want to turn away business, but you don't want a Frankenstein product that's kind of doing everything, and so it's sometimes just a tough conversation, and really try to empathize with them as to why they need that feature, and handling it very delicately.
Would you say that maybe after some of those conversations you do the 5 whys or something, you actually realize that it's not that feature, that there's another outlet that might have solved that problem?
Yeah, and there often is. I mean, it's any booking system, they're complex beasts. Regardless of how intuitive you really try to make the experience of the interface, they're complicated. So there's usually some ways that you can attack a kind of feature request in the way that the system's set up or configured or presented. So that's what our success and support teams are really there, trying to work with them to find a solution. If there's not, a direct feature, maybe there's another way we can think about it with them to try to achieve the end result.
Yeah, because it can be very dangerous. I mean, just look at the GDSs, right? And then they have all these like kind of systems that they have to keep supporting, but they don't want to. But they have all these customers that are there, but they don't want to do new features, and it kind of gets stagnant. I like the Frankenstein. That's much more appropriate.
It's
big and lumbering zone. And
maybe.
So to this event the past 2 days, or is anything especially interesting stood out to you from on stage, or things that you noted that were industry trends or stuff that got you really excited to continue being in this industry?
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I was tucked away in quite a bit of meetings, but so I didn't get to see all the presentations. But from the ones I did, I mean, they were great. Again, because it's really focused in on this industry, the content is able to be very direct. Whereas if it's Focusrite or one of those other ones, you can literally spend the whole day in all of the sessions and get good value out of it, whether you're a supplier or a partner. I think they've been really good.
Yeah, I heard there was a little bit of tension in the Airbnb trips session, so I didn't get to see the whole thing, but thoughts on that? Thoughts on the size of the market? Is there enough for everybody? Are we growing? It's an interesting topic that some people get really anxious about.
I think from our perspective, there's a lot of booking systems, right, which is good. There's lots of options for suppliers and customers, but there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of suppliers. I think the Focusrite report that came out recently, if I get this right, I don't want to misquote it, but there's 120,000 operators worldwide. 20% of them have an established modern system for managing their bookings. So the opportunity is huge.
Yeah, and the full integration too is very different. There's having like some parts of it digital maybe and pieces here and there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a huge amount of opportunity.
And on the mobile side of things, as consumers come to destination, are you seeing like booking windows, 24 hours? I've heard a couple of things. Is it shortening for you guys? Do you think is 24 hours even too long? Like is it really becoming like 6 hours or
I think that's where it's going to go. It's going to depend on the kind of sub-vertical that we're talking about. But in destination, you're in Vegas. If you're I'm not terribly prepared in that way. And it frustrates my wife to hell, but I just like to kind of arrive and be like, all right, here's what's going. In fact, our marketing manager over there just booked something for this afternoon in Vegas. So it makes complete sense. And it's on your phone. You're 2-3 hours away. You want to find something to do. It's going to increase.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah. Well, is the demographic? I guess with reservation systems, is the demographic data that might come through? Does that kind of allow you guys to help the suppliers, or I kind of sit more with the suppliers to understand that certain demographics need this time frame, or
both? Yeah. They have access to it, so they have in their reporting, the trends, whether the increase in mobile bookings, which we're seeing, which they'll see in their own reporting. We have access to the top level data, so we can actually, when we're having discussions with them, whether it's a piece of content or directly to a group, we're seeing those trends and we can articulate them as to what's happening and the importance of your mobile experience. We did an audit of all 4,000 customers recently, last 6 months, scoring their presence, and this was the precipice for building Site Builder. Mobile friendliness, clear call to action, and scored each one of those. And it was unfortunate that there was a huge amount of them were just really unprepared. So presenting that data and saying, this is what's happening, this is why you need to kind of modernize and build out your online presence. Focus on that. You focus on channels and all that makes sense on the demand side, but really work on the organic side. That's free traffic. Your customers should be finding you before they find your TripAdvisor listing.
And that was prior to building the site builder. That was kind of the genesis, really, was seeing that and realizing, we need to help them with a kind of
and realizing and frustrating we couldn't help them, right? Other than just blog articles saying, here's what you should be doing. So that's how that spun out.
And prior, if they don't use site builders, is it just that they are working with vendors that aren't really advising them well enough on the mobile experience? It's just kind of like a local vendor that doesn't really get travel, or?
Yeah. We integrate into WordPress and Squarespace and a bunch of other of those, and some of those are great. You can get free themes, but more often than not, even if it's a nice looking, pretty theme, it's not really designed for e-commerce, right? So we know that around 70% of consumers coming to an operator's website, they're there to check availability, check pricing, and make a booking. So that's what those sites should really be designed to do, is to take that visitor, convince them with all of your trust signals and reviews and photos that you're the place to go, and get them through the booking process as quick as possible.
I like the trust signals phrase. That's a good,
really
good
important,
phrase.
Right?
Yeah. What are some of the things that do signal trust that you recommend always?
So the frustrating thing we'll see is somebody be rated, and specifically a merchant or a supplier that I know is rated number one in a region for the tours segment in TripAdvisor. Listed nowhere on the website, on their own website. That should be clearly defined. #1 rated, trip or tour in your city.
They earned it.
You earned it. You should be showing that out. That should be in your email signature. Customer reviews, of course. There should be, a segment on there where your customers, past customers, are sharing their experience, their pictures, their photos. Any sort of endorsement you can get, from your demo, whatever it might be. Put that front and center. Put that on your homepage. Don't bury it in the footer or in the About Us, because they're not going to go there.
Social proof matters.
Social proof matters. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's a bunch of great tips. So appreciate you. I hope you can survive the next few hours. We're almost there.
I will. Looking forward to rest.
We are live in Las Vegas. We're going to take a few minutes for some messages, and we'll be right back with our next interview.